So growing up, I grew up in a single parent home, and I had a weird example of what a family was like. I remember one summer I kind of went off on a little staycation with my uncle, and I came back and my dad was gone. It was kind of a hard thing to swallow as a child, and I didn't really know what the next steps were going to look like. And my parents ultimately decided to get a divorce, and I had said to myself I was not going to be able to have a family, that I was not going to be able to get married because I wasn't going to be a good dad and I wasn't going to be a good husband. So on April of 2010, I went to a big Easter service. It was my first Easter service that I had attended at this church, and they started playing the music and started the worship time. And I remember at this time, this was really the first time that I really kind of started worshiping. And I had my hands up in the air, and I remember we were singing How He Loves. I got an overwhelming feeling, and I just broke down. I started crying, and I didn't know what it was, but I just felt really good about everything. I remember hearing God say, I love you, and I got you. And it was almost like a cadence of I love you, I love you, I love you. And I remember just thinking, I love you too. They started doing the altar call and asking people, if you want to, give your life to God, this is the time that you can do it. And I remember standing up and raising my hand and just remembering at that moment in time that I wanted to be with God. I didn't care what everything else was happening, but I knew that I loved God and He loved me. And I started coming to the Grace Place, and I remember I visited a couple times at the end of that year. And it wasn't until later the next year that I was talking to somebody, and they told me, I was telling them about my situation. I loved God and I loved what was happening, but I was still afraid. I didn't know if I could be a good dad. I remember Michelle telling me, God has a greater plan for you. You're not meant to be a bad dad. You're not meant or created to be a horrible husband. You are made to break those chains. You don't have to be like the examples that were set for you. You can be the person that God wants you to be. But then I have to be stubborn, and I have to say, God, that's not enough. And because of that, God has orchestrated all of these people in my life to show me that He has me here in this world, and that He has me up in heaven. And I'm thankful for that every single day, that God not only talks to me in my relationships that I have here on earth, but He has this constant connection to me and is always pumping ideas and things into my life that tell me that He's there, that tell me that He's with me. And for that, I'm really grateful.